Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to share with you my thoughts about 3 books regarding pregnancy, motherhood, childbirth. These books are recommended for pregnant women or for those who are planning pregnancy, but I have really mixed feelings about them. So in this video I won't be promoting these books but more sharing my experience as a reader, as a mom and as a pregnant woman. So let's start. Book number 1, Ina May Guide to Childbirth by Ina May Gaskin. This book focuses on natural childbirth. It has empowering birth stories and practical advices from practical midwife. It's emphasized trusting to the body, reduce fear, standing birth as a natural physiological process. Before I start to read this book, I was hoping to get like really open, balanced and not judgment perspective about childbirth. Instead, I felt bias. Natural birth is absolutely precious and powerful experience, and I absolutely agree with that. What is described about this book, about this natural birth and this satisfying feeling to have it. But this book is clearly against hospitals, doctors and medical inventions. I kept wondering whatever this book is influenced by the time when it was written, in 2003, when maybe situation was different. Giving birth in the hospital was more challenging for women than it's are nowadays. However, this book appeared not only in this educational part of this book, but also in the birth stories. All beautiful and empowering birth stories happen in the barns or in the homes, and whatever hospitals or doctors were involved, then we had always some horror elements. Fear, trauma, unnecessary inventions. Also reading this book, it felt that some of this information, what are mentioned there, is out of date. Since the book was published, there have been a lot of new researches, a lot of new practice and protocols in the hospitals. And also now I believe that I really want to trust that in many countries, doctors' attitude to mother's opinion and mother's needs and thoughts about how she wants to have this childbirth is also included in this process. The author of this book strongly suggests that medical inventions are unnecessary and harmful. Simply, it's not true in all cases, especially high-risk pregnancies. Personally, my first childbirth experience one in 2016, and I had induction, but I was explaining about doctors why we need it, why we can't wait anymore till this natural birth starting. All doctors was really explaining me all steps what was with me during this pregnancy, and I have really good experience. Of course it wasn't like easy, because let's be honest, giving birth, it's not something what you do on the daily basis. Even if you are expecting to have strong pain, you're not expecting that it will be so strong, and it's like hard, emotional and physically. But still, I feel that I have like really good experience. Honestly, if I will read this book before I had this my own experience about how pregnancy might look like at hospital, I will be scared to go to the hospital. This book have this really negative perspective on the hospital, because also in the hospital you can have natural birth what you want, what starts when you and the baby decides without any interventions. But after you read this book, you might have this like skeptical feeling or look on your doctors what in the hospital. But still there are really good things regarding this book. If we remove all this focus of negativity of hospital and the doctors overall, but leave all this positive information what they have, then you will find there some tips, some breathing and visualization techniques what can help you during this birth process. Also position for the labors what might be used, mental approaches, how to focus, relaxation methods and guidance on creating supportive birth environment and much more. So sum up, this book have definitely really good advices. You can find them and they can be really useful during your birth, whatever you decide to have this natural birth in your home with midwife, or you decide to have them in the hospital. These all suggestions are valid in both places. But this book don't have this balance. When you go to the hospital and there you have doctor, what you see for first time, that you also might have this good experience. So here we see this lack of information, but it's not true in all cases. Let's move to the second book, Matrescence by Lucy Jones. Matrescence explore emotional, psychological, and social aspects of motherhood and becoming a mother. For this book, I had highest expectation because it had various different researchers from different fields like neuroscience, biology. Also, it shows how changes woman mind, body, and brain, not during only pregnancy, but also in postpartum period, what also is like really important and sometimes about women's forgot. And this book definitely covers pregnancy, childbirth, and postpartum, how women can feel emotionally in society and in her own thoughts, but you find this experience in worst case scenario. This book have really great base. It has some history facts, researches, studies, statistics, but on the top of that you will see author's personal, very heavy emotional experience, and this experience is really negative. So despite of this title of this book, Matrescence, when you want to read book overall about all women experience who have like maybe really pleasant experience or have really sad and emotional experience or have this both and mix it or this normal, we mostly receive experience of one mother. We're reading this book from one woman prism, and this experience of this one woman, it is from victim position. So this woman was really emotional about her pregnancy experience. She thought that there will come someone who will explain her all what she need to know about pregnancy, but I believe that when you want to become pregnant or you are pregnant, you need to also make some research but your own to deep dive in this topic, because we don't get this information when we become pregnant. You need to educate yourself to have it, and also not only read but also to use this all information. Here we see that even eventually when she have some like information what can be used, she's not using it. Still there no any action. Also, you might feel that she didn't have like proper support while she was pregnant and when she became mom, and also maybe she had depression, and that information really come in one huge bubble, what just make all this scientific information in the book not unpleasant to read. You just got this feeling that out of these books blames society, history, man and system, but there is like really little self-reflection and personal responsibility. Author describes multiple pregnancies and challenges what she had during them, and why surprised me that even after she had already one really bad experience in the pregnancy and she pregnant for the second time, nothing changes. There's no like real analysis what she can do better to support this environment, because yes, there are some things what it impacted by our environment, about this world, but also there are a lot of things what can be done by the woman. So the author of the book noticed that something is not working, but instead of adapting on or trying to resolve these things, she's complaining and presents her experience as only true for all women. While reading this book, I felt really different emotions. I was happy and really curious when I read some scientific facts. I felt angry, frustrating, and mostly sad in the end, realizing how I think women can feel sad and unsupported and overwhelming by becoming a mother, what I think is so beautiful thing to experience. I actually really glad that I read this book during my second pregnancy, not during my first, because although after my first pregnancy I had anxiety, I didn't I was expecting that my life will be different, that I be different and I need to adapt to this new reality and identity, but I wasn't ready. So for me, it still was anxious. But looking back now, after like 8 years past, I'm second time pregnant, but now I'm making all steps what can improve my emotions while I will be in this postpartum period, what I can make different. So I analyzed all those things what happened with me previous. I was working with myself. Yes, I'm ready, but I still don't know. Maybe I will become like really crazy, really sad, and will be crying from the hormones. But I still see this experience as more positive than negative. Also, I see that I can do things to make it better, not waiting that someone will can come and support. If I need support, I will speak that I need this kind of support. If this book didn't have so much Lucy's personal experience, what other come all these facts about how our society are working, how changing women's emotions, hormones inside her, then it will be much pleasant to read for me. These books raise like really good questions, because I should be honest, when you are pregnant, everyone just speaks about you, asks how you are feeling, and when you and society expect you to have this child. But in the same way, when you deliver this baby, that all attention goes to him or her. So everyone asking how your baby feeling, and they a bit forgot you. And also, not all places in our society are supportive for families with children. We see that might feel not comfortable to go somewhere while we're having this child, but with each year we can see these improvements, that society is more open. And so overall, to sum up, book have really good researches, so they're really good. Also, it's raise really good questions about our society, how is it ready to see these moms with kids around. But these books do not provide any solution. How to make better, how to support yourself. It raises these questions. If you are currently pregnant, I won't suggest you to read this book, because after reading it, you can feel anxious, because it says a lot of information about motherhood from this really negative perspective. But if you are only preparing to be mother and you want to read some book and you don't want to see only this positive side when a baby is not crying, there are this perfect Instagram moms morning and you're tired of them, and you also want to see how maternity can look on the opposite side, then yes, you can read this book, but also take into account then your own experience might be different and it might be better. There might be more positive things than in this book. Everything also depends on the country you live or what support you have, but it's good to also know this like dark part of pregnancy. Let's go to the third book, Origins by Annie Murphy-Paul. This book shows prenatal experience, how mother's stress levels, nutrition, environment can impact baby not only in the tummy, but also afterwards, in long term. This book is more science-driven, but also there you can see some personal experience, because author was writing this book while she was pregnant by the second child. From my personal perspective, strongest and weakest part in this book was research. There are very many researches included in these books, but some of them are related to 2005. And when you think about that, there's mentioned some researches what was done 15 years ago, are they still valid or not? So in this part I was a bit confusing, thinking how accurate this data might be. Another challenge in this book was like structure. Felt a bit chaotic because it was moving from scientific part, where are some mentioned scientific studies, to more personal experience or some interviews on research. So everyone felt like really chaotic and less structured. Overall, this book explains really good mother's health, stress levels and emotions, states while she's pregnant and how it can impact baby from different perspectives. So the research part was really strong there. But in same time, this information might unintentionally increase anxiety or the guilt, because I start to read this book on my second trimester. Everything what was mentioned about first trimester, about that you need to eat more nutritious foods, and I had in my first trimester heavy morning sickness and nausea, and I was eating only just crackers. So I wasn't eating so nutritious and healthy. And when you're realizing that you didn't did something and how it can impact your baby, it makes you feel a bit anxious about the situation. And also in some cases this book raised curiosity about some topics but didn't cover them fully. After I read all these three books, I realized that reading books regarding maternity, childbirth, maybe it's not for me, especially in the moment when I'm still pregnant. So I realized that reading any book you need to be a bit skeptical, because otherwise you might feel that motherhood, childbirth and pregnancy are really bad experience and that you will have this worst case scenario. Also, you need to think that not all things what are mentioned in these books are doable for you. Like for me, when I read this third book, Origins, I was in my second trimester, so I didn't begin to read this book before I was pregnant or with my first trimester, because life is life, you have also another things to do. But while I was reading there, and there was mentioned some information that pregnant women should exercise a lot and eat nutritious, but me in my first trimester was just surviving morning sickness and nauseous, and of course I felt guilt after reading this book. So my suggestions, especially while you are pregnant and you want to read this book, be more skeptical to information what it have, because your experience might be different. Also, it's better to do maximum what you can to do and feel good about it, not to look what you didn't did from all these lists or all these suggestions. And also these books won't teach you the best way how to have all things done, and because they don't know your personal experience. And if you want to have like really good advice in your case, what you can done in your situation, that you always need to consult your OB or your midwife, because overall these books, they present this really good background or of all information or all research what was done about other women's experience. But still your experience will be different. You read some of these books, let me know what you felt about them. Did you like them, or you see them also a bit anxious? Thank you for the watching and see you later. Bye.